and sorry I'm starting a little bit late. It's about 8 o'clock and it says it's going to start at 7:30. Yeah, dinner ran a bit longer than I was expecting and the bus was late and various things. So, but now I'm getting started. And so where we are now is uh, we have our little character, and he can pick up a weapon, which is still sort of kludgy, but it works barely. And if you hit the bad guy, it claims to cause damage, but it doesn't actually do anything. It just prints out a little bit of damage in the corner there, but it doesn't actually do that. It just says it does. It's more for illustration. So I'm going to make it... oh, the other thing is that it's hard-coded. It's very, like, in the part where the collision is handled, it actually just says you deal this much damage. And I want to sort of factor that out so it will work correctly for different weapons. And also so it actually does damage and it actually kills the creature like it's supposed to. Okay, so I've started on this a little bit. Well, so first of all, and this is the whole collision, the contact listener for the world, and the contact listener is the single point of entry that intercepts all physics stuff. And like here, there's is the character on the ground or not? This only works for the player; it doesn't work for the slime yet, but I might do something like that. But I can also I saw this mentioned somewhere online where, as a very simple trick, you can say if the y velocity is 0, then then they can do a jump. But that means that, for one, that means they might do a jump in the middle of the air, at the top of a jump. But that's sort of unlikely that it'll be exactly at that point. It'll either be, that's an infinitesimally small point if you're in the air. Anyway, so in post-solve, you get this lovely little thing called contact impulse. And this has various things, including the normal and tangent impulses. And the one I'm interested in, I think, is normal impulses, which is just the force directly pushing back to resist movement, and tangent is, I think, perpendicular to that. Or maybe I could add them. I should probably add... I was noticing that the normal impulse was always just... It was either an X or a Y. It was never both. And I think tangent was maybe the other one. Anyway, so that force is calculated here and turns into magnitude and blah, blah, blah. So one of the tricks, I haven't used entity component systems a lot, but that's where your entities encode your describe your various in-game objects, then you attach components onto them, and then you process. You don't have any business logic inside your entities, it's all inside your systems. So I was trying to think, like, this physics simulation sort of occurs out of band with sort of the rest of the entity component systems stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how to sort of get this information to somewhere where it's actually going to be processed correctly. And it's sort of a weird sort of message passing mechanic, but you can actually just attach a component onto the thing that was just hit. So this is a little bit expensive because it means this entity needs to be reevaluated against every family that exists. It needs to decide, like, are there any families that now match this now that just hit component has been added? And actually there has been. I created another system over here called Hit Resolver System. It iterates over everything that has a just hit component. And then it plucks off that data hit, and it can do calculations to it. So right now we're printing out println, we're printing out how much damage was done. I mean, you don't actually need to see it. I've demonstrated it enough times, I think. Well, let me do it one more time for good measure. Glitch, glitch, glitch. Okay. If you change the directions too fast, it appears to not work very well. Anyway, so if you hit him, then it prints right here. That causes damage, but that's not really the right place for it. So this hit resolver system is a system where we see what is the entity that got hit. Eventually, we can include. Maybe we should also include what's doing the hitting, besides the weapon. But if you apply a force to the weapon, you apply a force to the player. If there's any sort of knockback effect, yeah. So, I was gonna try making the code a bit bigger. There we go. So that's a little bit easier to read if you're not on a HD screen. I can hit run. Yeah. Let me just try this to make sure. Oh, that was the run tab. So it's not actually a lower resolution. It's just, the text is larger. Okay. Anyway, so one thing you'll see is I'm getting the hit component here, and then I'm immediately removing it. So it's sort of this like one-shot message passing thing. Something else I've been coding in is if you look at weapon component now, which is now on the club, now has a weapon description pojo associated with it, and that's not what I. So I'm not really. So the data is getting a little conflated, but if you look at the visual asset, it has various things about the image, and then down below that there's a interface equipable, and weapon is of type equipable, and it also weapon also has a damage type. And I'm sort of borrowing D&D here because I don't know. I'm just experimenting with it for now, and it seems like plausible. I mean, it's D&D is certain aspects of it are loosely based in reality. That's why it's fun. So I just decided to borrow bludgeoning. And then here you can see wooden club is a base weapon, and base weapons have a visual component and a weapon. And so there's these various aspects to it, and this is a Kotlin. This is an XY coordinate basically. This is it's a pair, and it's bludgeoning. So what I want to do is, sorry about that. What I want to do is, let's see. I'm not sure if these arrows and things will actually appear over whatever, over the webcam. So the asset, I wasn't really sure how I wanted to get that added yet. Anyway, so right here I can just say weapon did this much damage. Yeah, so I don't know the damage type yet. So if I say this, I'm going to move up the webcam view a little bit. So you can see the key presses a little bit better. So now if you hit the monster. Oh, right. Sorry, this isn't working yet. I still need to add this to my list. Okay. Yeah. Let's put it here. I don't know if it matters. Oops. And it crashes. Why does it crash? Okay. So now it's sort of interesting. I actually, this jumping mechanism mechanic, I only sort of winged on my first try, and it's actually working pretty well. The character is, the slime is just obnoxiously jumping around just enough to actually be somewhat realistic. I mean, for a slime creature. Okay, so, I mean, it's printing out what I told it to print out. So the next thing I need to do is figure out, I think, yeah, I guess I already started on this. So one thing that sort of sucks is that, like, there's a visual component and a weapon asset component right now for a wooden club, but this asset is actually going to be the same object. Like, if you look at wooden club here, it implements base weapon, and base weapon has both of these things. So, do I really need two components? The nice thing is when you query the component, like the data that you get for it is guaranteed to be a weapon. Whereas if you combine them, then you'd have to say this is some asset thing, and you'd have to check to see if it was a weapon or not. And therefore you wouldn't be able to query it directly. You'd only be able to query on all assets, which isn't really what I want. Let me see if I'm actually using this. Yeah. So. Oops. So it's sort of dubious what I'm doing right now, but I'm saying, instead of saying add visual asset, add other asset, what I'm doing now is I'm just saying add asset, and it's saying if it's a visual, add a visual asset component. If it's a weapon, add a weapon asset component. And this way, I don't know. I mean, I haven't figured out a great solution for this yet. Weapon component isn't really doing much at the moment. I mean, there's weapon description that says how much damage it does. That's really going to be baked into... I sort of have two competing systems here. I'm going to probably get rid of this one. Anyway, so the point being, if we look at our hit resolver system, you can say, well, the thing that is doing the damage, if we say entity dot, just hit has a weapon field on it, and this is an entity that we were just looking at. You can say get weapon component. That's the wrong one. It should be weapon asset component. That's the one that has the asset associated with it. And we don't actually need anything off of this other than weapon's not a very good name. Let's call it weapon here and visual here. It's a little bit more descriptive. So now we can say damage type. And these are enums. Maybe I'm not sure if they should be capitalized or not. I think it's capitalized is sort of ugly. So this is prettier. I'm gonna stick with this. So I can just say, what does name do? I don't know. Let's see how this works. Okay. Okay. Waiting for him to jump to the other side. Come on, slime. No. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Oh. My character's very, very ineffective. Come back. Seriously. Okay. 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 I mean, that's what we expect. So I have one other system going. One other component. Creatures and things have hit points, which is just, how much health that they can have. They have a maximum health and a current health. I guess I'm not actually using it yet. So if I go to create slime, I can give it a hit point component. I haven't really decided on what the scale of damage is. Slimes are going to be basically the weakest creature in the game, but I don't know if 10 is appropriate or not. I don't want to really specify 10 because they're always going to start at their maximum. Okay. Looks good. So now the trick is I need to lower those hit points. So one thing I could do, so I'm always trying to think of, I try not to overthink it, but I'm always trying to think of what is the right way to do something like this. And there's two possibilities that I can think of. Either I just say entity.get hit points component current minus equal to damage type. Like that. Right. And that'll work. The question is okay, what next? At some point it has to die. Or what if it changes its behavior based on how much health it has? That's pretty easy to do some other way, actually. Really, you sort of want to have this overarching do damage where it decrements the health, and if it's dead, or if it should be dead, then it, plays it out. And of course, everything in this game, the answer seems to be more systems. Which I don't think is such a bad thing. But sometimes I wonder if I'm overdoing it. If you look at my Paradise game here, it's lines 53 to 33, so there's 20 minus 3 or 4, so there's 16, 17 systems so far. And every frame has to go through all of them. But then again, a lot of them don't really do anything. The light position synchronization system, it runs pretty quick because all it does is iterate over 10 lights. I guess the code's going to have to execute somewhere. Anyway, so this health system it does, what it's going to do is iterate over everything that has a hit points component. I should really be more consistent with my naming. Hit points system. I'm going to call it hit point because it's HP. Normally it's supposed to be 2 words. Come on. IntelliJ's not cooperating. Let me try one more time. Nope. Okay. I'll change that later. So everything that has a hit points component, we want to operate on. So what do we want to do in this hit point system? For now, we can just say if entity.get hit points component current is less than or equal to 0, then it's dead. I want to remove it from the engine. I sort of wish there was a way you could tell the entity to remove itself, but I don't know. I don't know if entities know what engine they're in. So whatever. Okay. Engine that remove engine. I'm going to put this in the mag paradise in the list of engines before I forget. The one thing that I do sort of use as a determining factor for where to put these systems relative to each other is I'd rather not sort of run through an entire frame. Like if I put this here, then it might do physics calculations. It'll sort of wrap around and do physics calculations for something that ends up being dead anyway. And you might and then until then it might have 0 hit points and then actually go on hitting you for another frame. That's just silly. So obviously, so because hit resolver system can do damage to you, it's what can decrement your health to, or the opponent's health to 0. It makes sense that immediately afterwards we say, okay, if it should be dead, then let's actually make it dead. I just want to print out how much HP it has, because right now I'm going to have no idea. Like, there's no health bar or anything. So I can't say remaining HP equals, well, I can save this in a variable. Okay. So I think this will work. I don't need to do this, but I like using variables as sort of documentation, and you know, it's a little bit more it's a little more clear if you create variables instead of just like if you think about it, it's pretty obvious what this is doing. It's getting the hit points component, but also on the next line, if you just say if hp.current is less than or equal to 0, that's more obvious than if it was like this. Like, you can't read this quite as easily. Anyway, so let's give it another shot. So it didn't crash. That's a good start. God, this slime is so jumpy. Stop jumping. Okay. Well, that seemed to work pretty well. So you can see it's dead. I think even the lowest enemies should take like 3 or 4 hits. So what if we do this? And also, if we go over to the slime component, I can give it 20 hit points. So, okay, this should make it slightly harder to defeat. Okay. I think I rammed it that time. So it shouldn't say it did 0 damage. Oh. I need to say... This is some sort of D&D stuff, I guess. Okay. Shoot, creature. Okay. Hey, it survived. I shall bonk you a second time. Come back. Oh. My one weakness, you have gone behind me. Ah. Okay. Well, that was just frustrating enough to be like vaguely plausible. Okay, I mean, the 2 times so the reason why, if my weapon actually wasn't so buggy, it wouldn't be quite as hard, like, which I guess is maybe the point. In any case, it only took 2 hits to kill it, and that's but I still chased it around for a little bit, so I think that's reasonable. Okay, so well, that was basically it. I wasn't really sure what else I was going to work on today. I'm going to move this out into its own file. Some of the tuning things, like, I don't know if 5 pounds or so, 5.5 pounds is like a reasonable weight for a club. I think when the point of a club is that it's hard to lift and then you like drop it on things to smash it, I think 5 pounds is sort of weak. That's more like if it was like a baseball bat or something. So it should probably be more unwieldy. Anyway, I think that's it for tonight. I need to brainstorm what I'm going to work on next, but that'll be sort of boring if I do that right here. So until next time.